On May 23, 1993, wax, or the discovery of television among the bees, entered the internet, projected by a cable into a wall. Inside that internet, there are no movies there. And so wax, waiting until the last frame enters the wall, then begins the first movie on the internet, to continue forever, for that is how the first movie on the internet begins, at the first frame after the last frame. A true story, and this is that movie, and in reverse. And so, we begin.
As you are aware, the internet is a DVD on a coffee cup. I could show you how that happens, how the handle of the coffee cup becomes the hole in the center of the DVD. How the interior of the coffee cup disappears into the surface of a flat disc as I spin. I am the first movie on the internet. I am inside a DVD on a coffee cup. I could show you how that happens. How the movie appears between two frames, between the front and the back of the DVD disc. I am the first frame after the last frame. I am the movie in the DVD on the coffee cup. I am wax, or the discovery of television among the bees. I am 999 years, 364 days, 23 hours, 59 minutes, and 48 seconds long. And then it was dark, until dawn.
I live in Alamogordo with my wife Melissa, right on the edge of the Army's Deseret Test Facility. I live in Alamogordo with my wife Melissa, right on the edge of the Army's Deseret Test Facility. I live in Alamogordo with my wife Melissa, right on the edge of the Army's Deseret Test Facility. I live in Alamogordo with my wife Melissa, right on the edge of the Army's Deseret Test Facility.
A red dirt field. Space shimmers hyperoptically, and in the far vague distance we can see the strip of white desert we will inevitably see closer up. Air and land both now make the land of the honeybee.
My name is Jacob Maker. Hive Maker was my grandfather. My name is Jacob Maker. Hivemaker is my grandfather. My name is Jacob Maker. Hivemaker is my grandfather. My name is Jacob Maker. Hivemaker is my grandfather.
Down a road, we see Jacob in a white suit, as if he were walking out of the desert accompanied by telephone poles. Space bends slowly as time progresses in this landscape. Jacob is thinking.
I inherited my bees from him. I didn't keep them for the honey. I just like to watch them. I inherited my bees from him. I didn't keep them for the honey. I just like to watch them. I inherited my bees from him. I didn't keep them for the honey. I just like to watch them. I inherited my bees from him. I didn't keep them for the honey. I just like to watch them.
Jacob. Close. A serious expression on his face, and the bee visor in his hand. The land is far and flat behind him. A panorama laid out on the ground, unrolling beneath his unseeing feet. Preceded by some flying bug, Jacob walks to the front door. We can hear footsteps and odd wildlife. Local nodes of consciousness, which send curved sounds and thoughts one to another along looping paths that don't always go where they should.
Melissa and I were related. Hivemaker's half-sister, Alice Spirallum, was Melissa's grandmother. Melissa and I were related. Ivemaker's half-sister, Alice Barallum, was Melissa's grandmother. Melissa and I were related. Ivemaker's half-sister, Alice Barallum, was Melissa's grandmother. Melissa and I were related. Ivemaker's half-sister, Alice Barallum, was Melissa's grandmother.
Darkness surrounds the house at a living room where Melissa, Meg Savlov, walks in, puts down her coffee cup, and drops a work notebook on the couch. She can see out a window behind the couch. I don't think she sees that bee-suit Jacob is wearing. She's writing a letter to someone. An elliptic moment brings us to an identical moment in that living room space. Melissa had been pondering what she saw out that window, but this pause disappears. She turns to the TV on and rubs dust off the top. The dust grabs her palm, hangs there, until she brushes it to the floor. Some of it will get stuck to the bottom of Jacob's heavy shoes, and just a few particles will stay with him through the entire movie, from here to there.
Melissa and I met here in Alamogordo while we were working on the training simulator for the shuttle. Melissa and I met here in Alamogordo while we were working on the training simulator for the shuttle. Melissa and I met here in Alamogordo while we were working on the training simulator for the shuttle. Melissa and I met here in Alamogordo while we were working on the training simulator for the shuttle.
As Melissa turns away, a white box appears around the TV, with its left edge extending into darkness, and then beyond to nothingness, or a different space. Melissa sits down, all the while looking out the window, until she gives up and reaches for her work notebook. Music notes come from another room, where the radio is between channels, one of the words from the accidentally tuned talk show makes its way through the overlay of alien notes, then down the corridor air, into her local air, and somehow through her ear and onto the page she's writing. The famous Challenger space shuttle, rising on a flame into blue space, as seen from a small airplane. No explosion imminent. The spacecraft, shaking in the frame and continuing to rise, though never leaving our sight. Shuddering space people look up, towards days in the dark light of the outer atmosphere, where they're going to be working on the set of an IMAX film, a fiction set in the near future or past.
When the project was finished, we got married. When the project was finished, we got married. When the project was finished, we got married. When the project was finished, we got married.
Melissa's hand turning the page, with the coffee cup in the background. The hidden side of the mug shows Ham, the first ape in space, who lived from 1957 to 1983.
Melissa stayed on the shuttle as part of the technical support group. I was reassigned to another part of the company. Melissa stayed on the shuttle as part of the technical support group. I was reassigned to another part of the company. Melissa stayed on the shuttle as part of the technical support group. I was reassigned to another part of the company. Melissa stayed on the shuttle as part of the technical support group. I was reassigned to another part of the company.
Melissa, wearing a t-shirt from the International Space Hall of Fame, turns to look out the window. She is worried, shakes her head, and once again decides to ignore what she has seen out the window. Obviously Jacob, who is in some kind of trouble. X's float in the air, and noises from the backyard hives. All the usual problems that have haunted their 8-year marriage.
We still went to work together. We still went to work together. We still went to work together. We still went to work together.
Jacob, standing on the front porch, is looking out at the sky, or the land, or at nothing. Perhaps he only sees the sound of his voice, twisting the space around him with memory. Maybe he is hungry.
But I'd felt uneasy ever since my reassignment. There was something in the air. But I'd felt uneasy ever since my reassignment. There was something in the air, but I'd felt uneasy ever since my reassignment. There was something in the air, but I'd felt uneasy ever since my reassignment. There was something in the air.
The sky above a narrow strip of land gives the translucent impression that Jacob is a giant. A telephone wire faintly crosses the frame. In echo, odd oscillations in the space make time in the sky more visible. Clouds, in many layers, sometimes hide spaceships. Ignoring that, it is a fact that bees do not have difficulty navigating on cloudy days.
Maybe my eyes weren't very good. That had to do with the job. Maybe my eyes weren't very good. That had to do with the job. Maybe my eyes weren't very good. That had to do with the job. Maybe my eyes weren't very good. That had to do with the job.
Jacob's face pretends to search for something. Whatever he's looking for isn't in front of him. It's right behind you. A jet rushing left to right against a vague sky, somewhere within our sight. Carrying your friends off to vacation, other land beaches. Loud radio playing in the cockpit. Cola spills when the pilot turns too fast. Without any warning, wartime reflexes, bad news for current customers. Ah, peace. The Frisch Building, a glass box cubic, known in our world as the International Space Hall of Face. Look into my eyes, says the cube. Where are they? We say. Right here, it says. I can't see them, says the loud one in your group. Everyone else shushing her. But I can see you, says the Hall of Face, and with that, well, you guess what happens next.
I spend a lot of time in front of a screen at Frisch Flight Simulation, right on the side of the mountain above town. I spend a lot of time in front of a screen at Frisch Flight Simulation, right on the side of the mountain above town. I spend a lot of time in front of a screen at Frisch Flight Simulation, right on the side of the mountain above town. I spend a lot of time in front of a screen at Frisch Flight Simulation, right on the side of the mountain above town.
Flying out of a page, to suddenly discover that we are watching a technician reading a manual at a flight simulator console, all as seen from a camera position almost above his head, or actually dropping towards his head. A camera carried by a letter missing from one word in the manual. That letter now spins down to join the one incomplete word on the open page. Hoping to get there before the technician's scanning eyes find that typo. Three landscape designers seated at simulation terminals, working on the reconstruction of places similar to Alamogordo, not one of the lost cities of Utah, but almost. Jacob in his bee-suit seated alone, on a chair opposite a screen in what might be the Frisch Building, but actually in Lawrence, Kansas. Programmer's log. Seat date 4.15.xx. And then he types over and over. This is the ton that is these. Bored and nervous? Not insane.
I was assigned to military systems, where we built weapon systems trainers, making sure that everything was as real as possible. I was assigned to military systems, where we built weapon systems trainers, making sure that everything was as real as possible. I was assigned to military systems, where we built weapon systems trainers, making sure that everything was as real as possible. I was assigned to military systems, where we built weapon systems trainers, making sure that everything was as real as possible.
A magnet tape twirling inside a plastic shell, always of hermetic significance. A flight simulator in tilt on a motion platform. A roller coaster without tracks traveling through some private public space. The roof is visible above the partial cockpit. Somewhere else, the headless body of this aircraft is landing on a long runway, blind feet gently touching down, scaring the hell out of the flight traffic control technicians in the tower when they glance up from their screens and realize this plane here isn't normal. Where's the head? The point of view of the pilot, or an alternate view of the world, or simply an alternate world. A clumsy but accurate jet is our point of view companion as we fly over a simulated sky, probably somewhere over Libya. A technician walking diagonally between computers and monitors. He pauses to consider some scene on a small screen. Pictures hide inside the giant machines surrounding him, hanging upside down from address spaces, their dark wing frames folded around their glowing visible face surfaces. Libya, already in progress. The artificial haze scatters in front of us, as the polygon landscape rushes beneath our enclosed feet, and the shoreline approaches. As the jet reaches the yellow strand, we tilt to fly along it, or perhaps the earth tilts as we remain stable. Flashes of mirror light greet us. The biosphere simulator tilts in another direct, dreaming of a tilting sun and the never-ending horizon. Mars is beautiful. We fly forever, racing the sun, and down below us, the single Martian city, named Phoenix, runs its strip mall streets from coast to coast, pole to pole, ridge to ridge, golf course to golf course, the city that never sleeps. We are alone above the beach, which, inevitably, we must leave, as there is haze calling to us. A cloud-gray sky, with the house clock churning in the background. Smoke detectors go off all over the neighborhood. The aliens, who crank out this disguise cloud from a machine in the trunk of their levitating ship, obviously aren't aware of local EPA standards.
I didn't really understand what was going on until the first time it seemed to happen to me. One afternoon, when I went out to the backyard to open up my hives. I didn't really understand what was going on until the first time it seemed to happen to me. One afternoon, when I went out to the backyard to open up my hives. I didn't really understand what was going on until the first time it seemed to happen to me. One afternoon, when I went out to the backyard to open up my hives. I didn't really understand what was going on until the first time it seemed to happen to me. One afternoon, when I went out to the backyard to open up my hives.
Jacob, who is also already in progress. Perhaps no time has passed since we left him. Perhaps we have returned to an earlier moment. The clock chimes, attempting to prove continuity. We leave Jacob for some indeterminate past or present. The porch roof bends crazily. Magnets don't work. Hair turns gray or curls. As magazine subscriptions expire involuntarily and disinformation creeps into the newscasts. Just another day in chaotic space. A car passes on the long dead-end road, leaving behind inevitable desert and telephone poles again. An atomic-powered car, a cow semen vendor, carrying a small ice-packed chest of merchandise in the trunk, drives into town for a cup of coffee. A lonely bee makes a noise in our ear. Past the house to the backyard, a fully suited Jacob heads towards a hive. On tippy toes. Don't wake them up. The hive's baseboard, a long shallow landing strip at the edge of the hive's inner darkness. There is little light inside the hive. Until you open it up. Then all local light gets sucked in, and the sky turns dark around you. Gloved hands lift the hive top, far, far above the departing bees. The fingers in the gloves feel warm. The bees hear the warmth. Some do, anyway, but don't know what it is, and bend their wings against the comb, to drive away the intrusive sensation.
When I was among my Mesopotamian bees, I always thought about how things had changed. When I was among my Mesopotamian bees, I always thought about how things had changed. was among my Mesopotamian bees, I always thought about how things had changed. When I was among my Mesopotamian bees, I always thought about how things had changed.
The top section of the hive is lifted off, revealing internal parallel layers of comb-carrying frame. We see Jacob as he bends to place the comb on the ground. Read these lines right to left, bottom to top. Streets and avenues, windowless apartments filled with words, bodies, bees, smells, sealed rooms filled with food. Jacob, standing at the open hive top, as bees fill the air around his veil. He appears to be either in or out of thought, neither here nor there. Not this, not that. Anyway, all around him, the air is there. And so he goes through this minute, or second, or tiny time without measure. Jacob's eyes are hidden by dark glasses. Bees float in front of his face, with blue in the background. He's in the placeless place, under the sky, or on a studio set, standing in front of a giant blue backdrop, a color made to disappear, and so used by image technologists to yank subjects from the living earth and place them against any imaginary background, here to Mars to roam to your intestines. Or just turn where you are into some place else, exactly the same but totally different. A tiny or large jet, somehow related to the sky in front of his face. Jacob's face, black and white, looking up. Air had been sucked out his helmet. The light approaches. Far away in the kitchen of his real house, the microwave dings. Melissa will be out in a moment to tell him about dinner. The bees on his glove. They look at each other, talk about last night's TV in the hive, a pheromone channel that glows for them, has a regular schedule and psychotronic programming popular among all the different body types there. We follow the actions of two bees about to exchange honey. Loud voices in the darkness suggest other motives to their meeting, an antenna telegraphy. They bend their elbows in secret ways, recognizing each other's intentions, preparing for what comes next. Blank sky. No programming today. No static either, however, as this is a channel that's always on. Part of the bee infrastructure. You'd be surprised if that tunnel you used to get under the river just disappeared a few hours a day, wouldn't you? I don't mean gates shut, I mean entrance gone. So why should channels close? Keep them plugged in. They're the very shape of this space.
When my sight came back, I was closing up the hive. When my sight came back, I was closing up the hive. When my sight came back, I was closing up the hive. When my sight came back, I was closing up the hive.
Jacob does not blink. That's because his eyes are closed. From Jacob's point of view, we see the top of the hive, a grid piece of elevated city. Bees crawl over the roofs. Other bees attempt to crash into his glass eye.
I'd gone someplace familiar, but I couldn't remember where. I'd gone someplace familiar, but I couldn't remember where. I'd gone someplace familiar, but I couldn't remember where. I'd gone someplace familiar, but I couldn't remember where.
Jacob picks the broken hive off the ground. Modular, made for orientation and assembly in any sort of gravity, the beehive section, if we may speak of it as a feeling, sentient body, doesn't mind sitting sideways on the ground. Though certainly those bees with property right at the box edge, and who usually shop across the crack at cells in the other box, might prefer to have the gap sealed. Jacob starts to put that section in place. O human crane! O city built by man! Gloved hands ease the white wooden structure into place. Many bees in free space watching, as Jacob closes the hive. The box of the hive has a lens-transformed shape, resembling a hypercube tumbling through our world, without any apparent motion.
I must have spent several hours with the bees. I must have spent several hours with the bees. I must have spent several hours with the bees. I must have spent several hours with the bees.
A frame is floating over the dark. Melissa turns the corner of the house as she heads towards the backyard. Jacob doesn't see her so clearly anymore, but even at distance their love continues to grow into itself. but not in visible ways, not into the air between them. This explains her continuing kindness.
When Melissa came out to talk, it was almost time for dinner. When Melissa came out to talk, it was almost time for dinner. When Melissa came out to talk, it was almost time for dinner. When Melissa came out to talk, it was almost time for dinner.
The empty space between the hive and that nearby Airstream aluminum mobile home stored in the backyard. Way back when, this town was claimed as part of the Mormon state, a scheme that brought out fighting federal soldiers on horses, with guns, and anger, who stopped that sort of talk. Part of the theology of that state claimed that people from the Tower of Babel came to live right here, traveling across the Great Sea separating there from here. How far did the biblical ocean go? They came across the sea in submarines, or turtle boats, noon knows. Boats that looked like this Airstream trailer. Melissa walks into an undistorted frame, talking. Jacob is at the hive. Space bends and words flow. Melissa is a spirit from the hive, in the world. We hear the birds. Why can't we hear them talk? Melissa, sad smile across empty space and branches, to Jacob, sad and rather unfriendly in his helmet. He's busy, at his computer. Bees going in and out of the hive, at the baseboard. The warm season is here. The hive unsealed itself long ago, and bees are traveling as far as Denver in search of flowers, news, and anti-waxworm magic potions, sold by other brands of bee, way out there in the north. The house at twilight. A colored sun sets in the west. The air is blue above, waiting to become a quick black. A cricket makes noise in the background. Snakes hide in the grass. Rodents run free in the dark. Tiny lit bugs spell the names of their corporations all at once in unison. Dynamos hum as all the televisions start at once.